Hello everyone, Andy Schwab here with your Farm and Ranch News. As you may have heard, the Montana Wool Growers Association and the Montana Wild Sheep Foundation have teamed up with the Montana Fish, Wildlife and Parks to study several components of domestic and wild sheep herds. Last week, while I was at the Wild Sheep Foundation annual sheep show, Kurt Alt with WSF told me some of the efforts for those funds have been provided by auction proceeds, have allowed to put together a 5-year and $5 million study for domestic and wild sheep commingling.
They're looking at, where do we have problems with lion predation on wild sheep? And I know from a wool grower's perspective, they have problems with lion predation. So I think that will have some crossover application as well. And then, looking at habitat, what are some of the habitat constraints we're dealing with? Looking at if they do an augmentation to a herd that's struggling, and then, looking at if we do new introductions, how should we do that? How do we approach that with landowners? How do we approach that with domestic and wild sheep? How do we approach that with the disease issue? All the things. But the other part is the one that will give us new tools as well, and that's the domestic sheep, wild sheep research on the commingling.
By the way, the Montana Sheep Permit auctioned at last week's fundraiser sold for over $385,000. Well, the American Farm Bureau Federation concluded its 2024 annual convention as they set policy direction for the organization this year. Now, passing a farm bill is this year's top priority for Farm Bureau members, followed by labor and artificial intelligence data privacy. Delegates voted to create a new policy to address the growth of artificial intelligence in agriculture, which has the potential to enhance farming practices and conserve resources, but AFBF says privacy rights must be respected. Delegates also voted to stabilize wage rates for guest workers on revised H-2A and H-2B programs. They also reaffirmed their support for increasing reference prices in the Farm Bill and maintaining a strong crop insurance program, including expanding eligibility to ensure more commodities are covered. We need to pause, but we'll be back in a little bit to look at your ag markets.
We asked Montana farmer Walt Sales about the challenges of mental health in agriculture.
Another drought, there always is. There's always going to be another something. I grew up in a generation of you pulled yourself up by your bootstraps, but it's become evident is what do you do if you can't even find those bootstraps? If you need to talk to somebody, go to beyondtheweather.com for free counseling for Montana ag producers.
Welcome back, friends, to your Ag News and your markets. Well, the National Cattlemen's Beef Association is providing multiple internship opportunities for students to learn about different aspects of the cattle industry. Now, internships are offered in NCBA's offices in Denver and Washington, D.C. New this year, NCBA is launching the Producer Education and Sustainability Internship focused on implementing the cattle industry sustainability goals while supporting the Beef Checkoff funded Beef Quality Assurance Program and providing educational resources to cattle producers to improve land management, animal health, and profitability. That internship will occur this summer and applications are due online at ncba.org by February 23rd. Also, just a reminder, NCBA is going to be holding their annual convention next week in Orlando, Florida, and our team will be there to provide us with some in-person updates. Well, cattle markets marched to higher ground, that is, yesterday with $2 increases on the negotiated sales. That helped propel the feeder cattle futures as well to $4 jumps and set the tone for a much-needed optimism as we get ready to head into the bull sale season this spring. Coal and replacement cattle were also the majority of the makeup for Pay's sale this week. Much of them regained the strength like they are seen in those feeder cattle markets as the coal counts started to see prices inching back towards that summertime highs. And for the sheep market, Sioux Falls also found larger head counts of the finished lamb this week compared to last. Luckily, price optimism is also being established in those markets. Wrapping up, the wheat markets were higher yesterday, despite the export sales continue to be mediocre. Winter wheat were the ones leading the way higher yesterday, while spring wheat trailed along for the ride. Well, there's a look at your Ag News and Markets. I'm Andy Schwab. Have a great rest of your day.